Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition. Let's see. There's quite a few things I want to go through. So I wanted to jump on here because I do have an important message on this one, and we're going to get into it. But first, before we do that, let's talk about a couple of things. I went to a networking event this week, and it was a really cool networking event. It was actually yesterday, because when this launches, it'll have been yesterday. So I went to a really cool networking event that is hosted by Adam Woodward in Calgary, Alberta. Adam's coming on the podcast. Super cool guy. And here's the thing. I got a chance inside of half an hour of talking to Adam and just kind of getting him to give me like a synopsis of his story. I was like, you got to come on my podcast. You got the coolest story of just successes, pitfalls, things he's been through. He's not shy to talk about it. And I love that. And when I went today, there was far more men sitting in the space than there was women. And this is, I'm going to tell you what I found very fascinating is that, I like the way Adam does check-ins with everybody. What's your biggest, what's your biggest hurdle in your business? How can we help you? Whatnot. Right. And I like that. I like that he's engaging. He's forcing everyone to engage in some way, asking them who they are, what they do, how they can help, and just kind of putting people together. He's got some names for himself. I think he calls himself a guy that kisses frogs. That's what he calls himself. It's actually kind of funny. Once he comes on and you guys hear him, you'll understand. But the one thing that I noted is that there's all these men sitting in a room and they're all conversating together and they all have different opinions. But the one thing that no one's talking about in this wonderful month of June that has Father's Day and Pride and National Indigenous People Day and Juneteenth, which is coming up, should be tomorrow. I believe Juneteenth is. But nobody's talking about June being Men's Mental Health Month. And I found that really interesting. And I will tell you why I can kind of move these two elements together is because Adam is a very silly character and he's engaging and he doesn't put people down. And it was interesting because he was giving men compliments. He's a heterosexual male. There's nothing weird. He's just being a genuinely kind human, just giving people, you're doing a really great job. You're really good today. You look sharp in that suit, just being a really nice guy, just being a kind human. And I thought to myself, this would be a really good point to bring up in this podcast to talk about men's mental health in June. So Father's Day just happened. How fitting is men's mental health for June? But, I've had many conversations with different men in different industries that talk about their mental health in general. And I always hear the same thing is they talk about how their worst enemies aren't really women or children or anything like that. It's actually men on men that it's hard. Like you don't want to come across weak. You don't want to be a pussy. You don't want to, be a namby-pamby or anything like that. And men are actually a lot harder on each other, but they're all going through a lot of the similar battles. So I always found that kind of interesting. So when I meet a male, whether you're gay or heterosexual or whatever, I don't care. But when you can genuinely compliment someone on their style or what they're doing or just them as a person, I think that there's something special inside of that for a man to do it to another man. I think there's something special inside of that because we have so much toxic masculinity where we're constantly where men are constantly cutting each other down. Now there's razzing. And I mean, like most of us that are Gen X, I'm on the tail end of Gen X, but I have siblings that are very much in Gen X. We grew up razzing people. I mean, like our love language is roasting. That's just who we are. And I don't think there's anything wrong with a good ribbing or, just calling people out for stuff that's, kind of funny. But at the same time, we kind of aren't really the enablers. Like, we're not going to be like, oh, that's okay, Johnny. You're having a hard day. You just have a seat right there. Most people are going to be like, yeah, fuck, you know what? Work ends at 3. So if you need to go home, that's fine. But I don't want to hear you bitching about it while we're on site. So figure it out. So what we're doing is we're forcing you to make a decision. Are you choosing yourself or are you choosing work? But then on the other side of that is, are they going to get razzed when they get back to work? Is it going to be like, oh, fucking, did you go take your tampon out while you were fucking went home at like 2:30 in the afternoon? But then I sit there and I think, do you know how many guys jump off site at 2:30 and 3:30 and they're like the bosses? And they're just like, oh yeah, well, I'm done for today. So I don't know what else to do. I've done all my paperwork and already walked a couple of my, a little bit of my site, and I'm just kind of done. And I'm kind of like, no, most leaders are supposed to be the first one's there and the last one's gone. It's a lead by example situation. So what are you doing, right? So anyways, mental health month. So I did put out a post on TikTok. I did a couple of my social medias. LinkedIn also had it as well. And I will read it to you. So it is for Father's Day. So I'll read the whole thing through so you guys can all hear it, because I truly believe in it. And it says, Happy Father's Day to all the incredible men who make fatherhood their own. Whether you're a stepdad, a fur baby dad, a super dad, a road warrior dad, a corporate dad, or a stay-at-home dad, you are a dad. And today we see you, we celebrate you, and we thank you. Something I learned not long ago, and perhaps you didn't know either, is that June is also Men's Mental Health Month. How fitting, right? Amidst the vibrant celebration of Pride, Juneteenth, and National Indigenous Peoples Day, men stand at the intersections of history, heritage, and healing. This month, let's take a moment to truly recognize and accept men for who they are, where they've come, and where they're going. Men are our allies, our protectors, our fathers, our brothers, our partners, our best friends, and our sons. It is easy to focus on what society says men get wrong, but when do we just pause to simply honor them? I once heard a quote that stuck with me. Women and children and pets are loved unconditionally. Men are only loved when they are providing something. It broke my heart, and it really did. Because if children are loved unconditionally, shouldn't that include boys too? At what point do they become less deserving of that love, and simply because they grow into men? Men are raised to protect, to provide, but they are not machines. They are not robots. They feel, they hurt, they carry silent battles. Just like anyone else, blood runs through their veins and emotions live behind their eyes. So today and every day, celebrate the men in your life. Remind them that they matter, not just for what they do, but for who they are. Without them, life would not be nearly as rich. And I believe that. So for all you guys out there, there's just a lot of noise. Oh, well, not all men and not all this and all that and the bear in the woods and all that shit. Just shut the fuck up for a minute. And just, what? The men that are in your life that you love, that are good people, those are the ones you need to remember. Those are the ones that are getting left behind. The ones that are constantly smiling at the table. The funny guys are the ones you got to watch. My other half's really funny, so I got to watch him, He gets goofy sometimes, and I'm like, oh, shit. The depression is high in this one. I mean, I laugh, but it's true. Like when he gets really silly and really funny, sometimes I have to kind of like take a step back and be like, you're extra funny today. Are you okay? And people will say, oh, he's fine, blah, blah, blah. And he'll say fine, but men have that line too, where when they say fine, they don't actually mean they're fine. It's just their way of saying, I don't want to talk about it. Most men are taught to suppress. So they say, I don't want to talk about it. And then here's the other part of it. If men do talk about it and they find someone that they care for, that they are able to be vulnerable with, that usually gets turned against them. And it's really disgusting. Like, sure, I'll bug my significant other. Sure, I will give him a hard time and I will rib him and I will incessantly make his eye twitch because, you're not in love if you don't make your, significant's eye twitch a little bit throughout the day. That's just my personal thought. But, I would never take a secret about him and share it with a whole bunch of people or utilize it against him in a way that was weaponizing it. And to me, that's just disgusting. Like, do I take some of his flaws that he doesn't like and rib him about them? Of course I do. He always says he's like psychological warfare with you. And I'm like, no, I want you to see that it's really not that big of a problem. Like, if I'm ribbing you about it, it's not because I think that about you. It's because I've always been taught, and I teach my children, if you can make fun of what people would call your, deficiencies or flaws, if you can laugh at them yourself and be comfortable in your own skin, then nobody can hurt you. I'm not perfect. I gained an extra 30 pounds. I walk around and I'm like, I'm a little fat in the ass right now. It is what it is. And it's a funny joke because I have no ass. The Caribbean, have you ever met a Caribbean with no ass? Well, you just did. So, it skipped a fucking generation. Like, I'm half fucking Caribbean. My daughter's 25% Caribbean and she got the ass. I'm like, this is a shit deal. Like, what happened? And she'll walk upstairs. She's like 14. She'll walk upstairs. She'll be like, are you jealous? I see you looking at my booty. And I'm like, yeah, I am a little bit. Like, what? No, sometimes you got to be honest with your kids. But I embrace who she is and what she looks like and her size. And I'll bug her about her butt because, you know, she does have one of those voluptuous butts for a young girl, and she gets bugged about it, and she gets bugged about her weight. And so I'll bug her about her weight. Right. And she's like, Mom, you can't bug me about my weight. And I'm like, why not? And I'm like, who cares? I'm like, do you think you're beautiful? And she's like, yeah, Mom, I think I'm beautiful. And I'm like, okay, well, do you think there's something wrong with your weight? And she's like, sometimes I do. And I said, okay, well, what do you think's wrong with your weight? And she's like, well, sometimes I wish I could, be 20 or 30 pounds lighter. And I said, okay, well, until you're ready to do the work to get there, just be comfortable with who you are. People come in lots of shapes and sizes. And you know what? Nothing says that you running every day and eating like super well compared to what you already eat all of the food groups. You're smart about how you don't just run for the sweetest thing. Like you always want salads, you eat meat, you eat grains, you eat all the things. And she eats mostly fruits and veggies. She loves fruits and veggies, but she's a little heavier set. She's not fat by any stretch. She's just, in the eyes of some people, they'd say she's a little heavier set. Now, in the eyes of the healthcare system, they probably call her obese. And I'm not that parent that's like, my kid's like 80 pounds overweight and it's like, oh, she's just a little fluffy. Like, no. Like, like if my kid was 80 pounds overweight, I'd be like, listen, you're getting on the treadmill. This is what's happening today. It's good for everybody. I don't want you to have a fucking heart attack at 16. But she's not. She's I'd say 20 pounds you'd see the difference in 20 pounds, and then she'd probably be at where her BMI is supposed to be. So that's where I get a little bit upset when I tell her, I'm like, don't look at the scale. Don't listen to, what it says about your BMI. Don't forget you're tall. You have a different bone density. There's lots of things to consider. You eat really well. You eat a lot of vegetables. You take all your vitamins. You are active. Now, could she be more physically active? Yes, she is one of those kids that is an introvert and does not like to do things. She's kind of like a couch potato. She likes being a couch potato. My son, on the other hand, has the fastest metabolism in the world. He's a skinny mini like his father. And he loves, and he's an athlete like I am. So I was super athletic. I can't say I'm super athletic anymore simply because I fucked up my leg. Age is wonderful. But had my leg be in perfect operational condition. I actually screwed up my leg when I went to go kickboxing. So about a few years ago, I went to go kickboxing, and my patella, or my kneecap, subluxated, which means that it dislocates and relocates. Let me tell you how much that fucking hurts. Okay. My leg swells. I can't do anything. So this used to happen when I was a kid because I had a massive growth spurt and I was in like multiple sports and like high competitive sports. And so this is what happens. But it wasn't really a problem. And when it did subluxate, it would go back in, and then it would be like a couple of days at most. Leg would swell up, whatever. And then I was back doing whatever I wanted to do, playing basketball, playing baseball, playing volleyball, whatever, doing my thing, skiing. And then at 21, I couldn't ski anymore because of the way the boot holds your foot into the ski. It would automatically shift my patella and make it automatically subluxate as soon as I tried to do anything in a ski. So I couldn't ski anymore, and that pissed me off. At 21 years old, I stopped skiing, so that sucked. But I was super athletic all the way through up until a couple years ago. So 2022 is when I had my incident with kickboxing. I was so upset about it too because I really wanted to do kickboxing. Meh. I could still do it with a brace. But, so my son's super athletic like I am, and he plays football and he loves it, and he's also a skinny mini, but then he eats like shit. He's the kid that eats all the garbage. So it's one of those things where if you razz people about the different things, like I bug him about being a skinny mini and the fact that he eats shit. Now, sometimes he's like, Mom, you're giving me a complex. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be giving you a complex. But I will say this. I love the fact that my kids can tell me right to my face, you are giving me a complex. I don't like what you're saying. Please stop doing that. You're telling me that you are sensitive about what I'm saying. And no matter how I say it or how funny I can make it, it is not hitting you in the same direction that my intention is. It is hitting you in a different way that is causing negative effects. So I'm impacting you negatively. And you can vocalize that to me and I will stop. And I did. So when my son says this is impacting me negatively, or this is creating a complex, but he's also mouthy. Like we were going to his talk doctor today and he's all like, oh, Mom, you should stay and you should hear. I'm like, well, what if you have something to say to the talk doctor about Mom? You need to have a space where you can go talk to her without me being in the room. And he was like, well, maybe that will be your constructive criticism and you can just listen and say nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, he's 12. Like, who is this child? Oh, he's mine. Awesome. So, but I mean, like, I do love that they're vocal and they can speak their truths and tell me what they're thinking. And some people would be like, oh, well, your kid talk back. No, he won't talk back. If he says something ignorant and I come at him, because I will raise my hand because I have got melanin in my skin, and no, it is not a chancla. I'm not Latina. So I just come with a hand, trusty hand. And he's like, Mama, I'm sorry. I love you. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry, Mama. Don't beat my ass. And I'm like, boy, you better watch yourself. So, but anyways, in regards to the men's mental health, I look at my son and I say to him, like I think in my brain, I think to myself, like, this is my boy. I love my boy. And, everyone will say, oh, a man is always unconditionally loved by his mother. But then there's another phrase that when a woman has a boy, it was because that's her last love and she is his first love. So your impact as a mother is a lot bigger than you think. It's going to affect your son's dating pattern or what he allows or tolerates from other women or women in his life. And you're kind of the model for that. You can even be the model for what not to have. So really be cognizant as a woman when you're raising a son. There's times where I have to sit back and I have to eat crow because I've made some mistakes as a woman that's in a male dominating industry. And I've made some mistakes by razzing my son in a way that I didn't have to. And then people are like, oh, he's a snowflake. And I'm like, no, he's a person with feelings. And I need to recognize that, because there was a time when my son came home and he was like, Mom, I hurt myself. And I'm like, is it bleeding? Is it broken? Rub some dirt in it. And he's like, Mom, don't say that to me. And I'm like, oh my God, do you want a hurt feelings report? And he's like, Mom, and I'm like, well, he's a kid. And I'm like, I'm teasing him. I'm getting a kind of a giggle out of it. But at the end of the day, sometimes boys, they just need their mom and they just need to, be told it's okay and get that coddle and get that cuddle and be told it's okay, no big deal. And, they need it from their dads too. They need their dads to show them, what, it's okay. It's okay to be upset. If you don't know how to mentally maneuver something or your emotions are so high in the way, let me help you process those, not suppress them, but process those. Okay, you fell. Are you embarrassed? Yeah, I'd probably be pretty embarrassing. That sucks. I get it. Did you fall in front of a bunch of people? Did you fall in front of the girl you thought was cute? Did you fall? Yeah, that kind of sucks. We've all kind of done that. Are you mad? Okay, why are you mad? Okay. And just help them sort through what the issue is, because what you're doing is you're helping them to identify the emotion, and you're implementing critical thinking skills and problem solving skills all by just doing that, especially as dads, which means you're going to have a different outlook on men. So when one of their guy friends comes to them and says, oh, like having a hard time as my girlfriend left me, we've been together for 6 months and I really loved her and blah, 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 because most men know when they love a woman, like within 4 hours. So they actually say 4 days, but, and instead of being like, oh my God, you're so pussy, but you're such a pussy. What's your problem? Stop being a snowflake. They're going to be like, oh yeah, what happened? And they're going to go out and they're going to talk about it. And some men do this, not all, but some men do this, and they talk about it and they go through it. And they're like, you know what? Maybe this was a blessing in disguise, or maybe she'll come back, or you know what? Give it a chance to just like let the dust settle. Don't do the old, like, how you get over someone is to get under someone. Like, don't do that. Like, don't get self-destructive to yourself. Don't get self-destructive to other people that are not trying to be in the way, because you might find there might be somebody that gets inside, gets in your crosshairs that is actually supposed to be with you, and you sabotage it because you're on some destructive, like playing field right now. So just take some fucking time to hang out and just, be you. So it's teaching our boys and our men to be more empathetic to our children that are male, and continue that love. Because if men don't feel that they're unconditionally loved, then they should work on, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my, all of a sudden I have a little error message that's like, your internet is unstable. I'm like, yeah, it's a fucking thunderstorm right now. I'm in Calgary. So I was like, uh-oh. But anyways, as men, you need to embrace each other and really listen to each other and help each other through it, because where there's pitfalls, there's successes, and where there's successes, there's learning, there's growth, there's this, there's that. And why not be a part of it? And why not show other men and and future generations that it is okay? And like I said, what you're doing is you're implementing critical thinking, problem solving, and, empathy. And those are all really great qualities. Women aren't the ones that have to just have empathy. But I will say this, the one thing that annoys me the most about you men is when you get information from your friend that something's happened, And I talk with all the guy friends I have and just males in general on site. And they're like, oh my God, or my buddy got hit by a car. Like, we're just going to give you a for instance. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? I don't know. What do you fucking mean you don't know? Like, you didn't ask for any details? No. I just got the call. He got hit by the car. That's all I know. He's at the hospital. Do you know what hospital? No. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, I just want to choke, guys. I'm just like, get some fucking information. Here's some questions. Here's some basic questions that us women will leave you alone. What happened? He was walking in a crosswalk. Car came out of nowhere. Fucking took him out in the legs. He's headed to the, like, I don't know, Peter Lougheed Hospital. He's in critical condition. That's all I know. Great. A lot of times, that's all we need. That's all we need. To you guys, that's a lot of information. It's really fucking not. It just gives us enough information as women to process of, are we going? Is this enough of an accident that we need to pack up the children or pack up ourselves and go to the hospital? Or is it so bad that we need to sit tight and wait for the call? Or is it minor that it's just like, oh yeah, he'll be out, probably get a couple of stitches, be good to go, and we'll, have a beer with him on the weekend. So that's what we're trying to establish in our brains as women, is where does this injury, or this situation, this horrible accident, like what's the rating scale? What's the priority scale of attendance on this? So when you guys are like, I don't know, it's like, oh, find the information out. It's the one phrase I hate the most. I don't know whether it is professional or personal. It is the one phrase I hate the most. There are moments when that phrase is acceptable, very few and far between, because for me, I'm all about obtaining information. So I don't expect you to tell me like what he was wearing, what was going on, if it was night or day, what time of, I don't expect all of those details. I just, what happened? Where's he at? Is it critical? That's all I'm looking for. Most women and people, that's exactly what they're looking for. But yeah, so let's all embrace each other. Let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. I fucking hated that song growing up, Kumbaya. I hated it so bad. Campfire songs at camp. Let's sing Kumbaya. Or Michael, roll your boat ashore. Or Michael Finnegan. Why are all the songs with Michael? It's my producer. It's my voice of God. So I'm going to say that. He's going to be listening. He's going to be like, that's right, because we're amazing. All us Michaels are amazing. I have so many Michaels in my life. My father's Michael. My brother's Michael. I named my son. His middle name is Michael. My best friend is Michael. The first boyfriend I ever dated was Michael. I had lawyers named Michael. I've had workers named Michael. I've had one of my first workers in my company named Michael. Yeah, like it's just a prominent fucking name in my world. So how fitting that my producer's name is Michael. So must be a thing, must be a Michael magnet where they're just nice guys to me. So yay me. That's all I got to say. Other than that, let's see. So we did men's mental health. We talked about this. Oh, work concerns. So this is the other thing we were talking about in the networking thing. We were talking about work. And, I was having this conversation with my producer as well. And I was saying to him, and this is where I find it really interesting. And I think you guys are going to have fun with this. So there's two things that I have for you. So the first thing is I got in shit. My producer gave me shit. He's like, your podcast is called Devil's Advocate. Stop being so nice. I know you have an opinion. I know you're super articulate. You might offend some people. That's okay. That's what your podcast's about. He's like, you're too nice. And I'm like, I'm not trying to create conflict. I just want to hear your story. Now, if we have opinions that differ, I will sometimes get a little bit feisty, but not overly, because here's the thing. I'm not trying to cut you down on my show. I want to give you a platform to speak. But at the same time, he's right. My show is called Devil's Advocate Trades Edition. So if you have something you want to come at me with it. Come at me, bro. And I will have the debate with you, because the wonderful thing about being Canadian is that we don't have to mirror an opinion of somebody. We can have a completely different opinion, but we can at least fucking talk about it. That's all it's about. We can even get into a little bit of a heated debate, and we can try and I will. There's times where I will tap out and I'll be like, I agree to disagree. That's how you know I've tapped out. You win. I tap out. I don't want to fucking talk to you anymore about this shit. You're stressing me out. I don't like feeling stressed out. I'm sweating a little bit. I don't want to do it. So there's that aspect. Now, the other aspect is we were talking about the workforce. And we were talking about, I had overheard in my meeting that there was like 9,300, something stupid like that. Hang on a second. Fucking cat's being an asshole. Sorry. She's trying to open the door. She's like, feed me, Seymour. Throws things at my cat. It's just a pen. Don't worry. It's under the door. He was talking about 9,300 people, or 1,000 or something like that. It was a large number. It was a ridiculously large number in Canada. I think it was like 93,000. I think that's what it was. Could not find work. So there was that many jobs that couldn't find people to work. Okay. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, well, what are the employers doing? Are they not advertising correctly? Are they not what are they not doing? Right. Which then brought me on to another topic of people saying, and this is what I love about you Albertans, not all of you. I can't say it's all because I don't fit. I'm not in that equation. Is when I hear the whole, the immigrants are taking their jobs. Really? Because last I checked, you had a stack of fucking resumes from Canadians that were born here on your fucking desk, and you wanted to bring over a bunch of people from other countries because you can pay 30 cents on the dollar for them. So shut the fuck up, hypocrite. That's all I gotta say. So you're the one taking away the jobs. For you guys that are bringing people in on LMIA, when we've already got a whole shitload of people here that should be working, fuck you. So stop being a hypocrite. Stop running around screaming like you're right-wing bullshit. So, and when I say right wing, I mean you think that everything should be done for you on behalf of you, and we should all bow to you because there's some sort of messiah complex. Just shut the fuck up. You sound stupid. So that I don't like. Now, LMIA programs are designed that if you have a certain industry where you're struggling to fill those slots, where you're going through and you're having, so if you take a stack of resumes, say you get 20 resumes. And out of those 20 resumes, and every employer knows this, out of those 20 resumes, maybe 5 will work out. Okay? 5. And out of those 5 that work out, 2 will stick around. But you need 15. And if you can show that you've hired these people, and this is where people will be like, Lisa, fucking turnover is ridiculously costly. Absolutely it is. So do it a few times. Don't do it for a year. Don't give yourself a fucking year. Give yourself, you know what? I've gone through 60 resumes, and out of 60 resumes, 10 candidates showed up. 10 candidates were ready, willing, and capable. Out of those 10 candidates, 5 remained. I need to fill 20 spaces. My company is going to bust if I don't get these people in. So can I please, I've applied for LMIA. Can I do that? Yes. Then at that point, I say to Albertans, stop being lazy. Stop being little bitches and go to work, and stop saying, I can do this and I can do that. Let me tell you something. You know what? Everybody needs a job on some level. AI is not going to take over everything, at least not yet. At least my producer would say not yet. He loves AI. But so, that's his company, Dynamic AI Hub. So, he's all about the AI. But I will tell you this much. I truly believe that we need to embrace the jobs that are here and embrace the people that are here. And if you are going to be a hypocrite and go through LMIA because you want workers, because you want it cheaper, then shut the fuck up. And if you are somebody who doesn't want to do the work because it's not, you're way more qualified than that. I'm just kind of in the headspace where I'm like, shut up. We're all overqualified in some way. And I used to hate that when I used to get to a job and someone, even being told that you're overqualified. And I'm like, I need to work. I'm not going to ask you for fucking 10 raises. I'm well aware of what the job entails and what the wage is for it. I'm not stupid. You need this person. I need a job. How wonderful is that? Right? So telling someone they're overqualified can sometimes be really detrimental. But it also reminds them that as things open up, they can keep their ear to the ground. And you can tell them, you know what? I know I'm overqualified. And it means I'm probably going to have my ear to the ground a little bit. But while I'm here, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm not going to be lackadaisical on the job that you're hiring me for. I've pumped gas. I did that. I'd do it again. I don't care. I'd be a bartender. I did hospitality. I loved it all. It was super fun. If I had to get back on a crew, I'm not going to lie to you. I would not get back on a crew in construction and work on site. Just wouldn't have to fucking happen. I wouldn't do it. Why? Because my body can't handle it. I'd whine like a baby in a snowstorm. I'd be like, oh my God, how much longer? I'm fucking tired. I need a break. Lisa, you've been doing this for 15 minutes. Yeah, it's fucking break time. So I wouldn't go back to construction to do any type of boots on the ground, but I would go back as administration in just about any company. If I had to leave and go do something else, absolutely I would. Why wouldn't I? I'm perfectly capable. And that's the other thing, ready, willing, and capable. That's what they tell you. But then also you have to remember as people, we need to refuse unsafe work, things that you wouldn't normally do. And don't get caught up because employers are really tricky. Tasks as required. Those tasks as required have to, on some level, fit into your realm of expertise and skills. So if it's like cleaning the toilet, well, that fits into your expertise and skills, because if you don't know how to clean a toilet, then somebody needs to go talk to your parents, because you should know how to clean a fucking toilet. I'm just saying, it's not hard. It's a brush. It's round. It's wonderful. You just circle around, put some blue shit in there. You're good to go. Okay. So you need to know how to clean a fucking toilet. But if it's something like operating an aerial lift and you're like, oh, I have a ticket, but I've never really driven. I don't have a lot of hours on one. And they want you to like run around in this thing and just be super proficient. Be honest. I might have my ticket, or I don't have my ticket, but I have, 4,000 hours on it. So I'm perfectly comfortable in one. They might say, okay, we're going to get you to go get your ticket, just so everything stays legal, because we need it to be legal. You can't be running around driving aerial lifts with no goddamn ticket. But just little things. Or we want you to climb into that hole. Okay, well, what's in that hole? Why do you want me to climb into it? I don't remember that being part of my tasks. Well, tasks as required. Nope. I don't know what's in that hole. I don't feel safe. I don't know what I need to be prepared for, the proper PPE for me to go in there. I don't know if putting on a Tyvek suit or, respirators is going to suffice. I don't want to do it. Those are not normal things I put in my job unless I know that I'm going into a containment of sorts. And this is not a containment. This is a confined space. And so you're allowed to say no. You can fucking say no. So say no. If you're not comfortable, say no. I'd rather someone say no to me than say yes and then be completely pissed off and mentally fucking checked out for the rest of the day or the rest of the week because I asked them to do something that they didn't otherwise want to do. I'd rather them just say no. Save me the headache, because for every guy that says no, there's one guy that's like, I'll go down there. Cool. So let the other guy go down there. I don't give a shit. Like, we got to figure out what's down there, and we don't think it's at this particular junction. There's nothing that has indicated to us that it's unsafe. We know it's a confined space. We know all of the possible hazards. So we've probably implemented as many controls as possible to make sure this person is safe. But if someone just might not like confined spaces, maybe they're claustrophobic and they don't want to be like, listen, I don't like confined spaces. I'm claustrophobic. A lot of people don't want you to know I'm scared of heights. How many guys stand on a ladder or scaffolding terrified of fucking heights? And they're doing it because they don't want to be bugged. Like, it's such a load of shit. Just say no. I'm like, I'd rather someone say no. I've actually had a guy who's a roofer who told me he was scared of heights. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, well, it's really good work. And I'm like, are you scared right now? And he's like, I just don't think about it. I'm like, you have so much fucking there's so much to unpack with you right now. Like, do you not realize that you are like 25 feet high? And if you to make one wrong step, that you're going to be dangling off a fucking roof? Like, do you not, because I mean, you have your harness on, but do you realize that you're just going to be dangling there, and then you still have to go to the hospital to get all the extremities checked? And if your legs were pinched for too long, that can cause a problem. Like, do you understand that? He's like, I just don't think about it. But you need to think about things so that you can do your job effectively. And if this is a legitimate fear, maybe don't be a roofer. Maybe be like the foreman that's on the ground. Maybe be the safety guy that, says, like, show me all of your, show me where your anchor points are and show me all of your hook-ons and your ropes and let me see all of them. Maybe like don't do that. Find something on the ground that you like. Like, why do people do this shit? They almost, and then, it's like, I always make jokes with guys. I always say to them, because this is all mental health. You guys are like your own worst enemy. Because I'll sit there and I'll give my kids something to eat. And kids, they don't give a shit. They'll tell you, I don't like this. This is gross, mama. This is gross. What is in here? What is this? And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, listen, I served this to you last week. Well, you did something different because it tastes like shit. And I'm like, okay, yeah, don't hold back. Tell me how you really feel. But a man will eat it. They won't say anything. They'll be like, oh yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. And then like 2 days later, or a week later, they're like, do you remember that time you tried to kill me with that fucking casserole you made? And I'm like, what? Like you said, you ate it. Yeah, well, I had to choke something down. It's like, why don't you just say you didn't like it? We would have fucking made you something different, but they do this shit all the time. And I'm like, you guys are your own worst enemy. Stop it. Tell us how you feel. Say, I don't want your fucking casserole. It tastes like shit. And, like hurt our feelings a little bit. Maybe it's our feelings that need to be hurt just a little bit, and say, you were home all day. You did a great job. You cleaned the house. The kids are doing good. The kids like the dinner. I'm not a fan of dinner. Oh, and another thing, not all guys are hungry all the time. So they could walk through the door, but they could have had a really big lunch, or they're just not hungry. Like, especially when guys are stressed out and have a lot of anxiety, unless they're like emotion eaters, because there's some guys that are emotion eaters. Most men don't want to eat. They're like, I'm not hungry. Don't be like, well, I made you dinner. How dare, like, just shut the fuck up. Stop being so sensitive as women. Like, they're not hungry. Okay. Dinner's in the fridge. Okay. Dinner's on the stove, and just walk away and carry on. Like, he's got 2 feet and a heartbeat. He'll fucking get it when he wants. Like, what's the problem? We don't need to they're not our children. We don't need to spoon feed them their shit and tell them, well, you make sure you eat your vegetables. Like, who fucking cares? Like, they'll eat when they want. So I think on both sides, there's always going to be some element of misinformation and misunderstanding that creates conflicts that don't need to exist. I think that everybody feels that their feelings are so valid, and they are within reason. If someone tells you they're not hungry, they're not rejecting your food. They're just saying they're not hungry. So stop feeling like it's a rejection and you've been like pierced through the heart. And if someone doesn't want to, work at heights, it's not because they don't know how to do the job. It's because they have a legitimate fear. Like, stop. It's like, it's not that fucking deep. Like, just settle the fuck down. Anyways, it is what it is. I hope you guys will embrace men this month, because you guys are all quite interesting characters. I will say that. I love hanging out with the boys and the guys, and I adore the shit out of my significant. So you guys all have a wonderful June and be safe within reason, because you guys are crazy. And I will make sure that, I will continue to, every single time I do an episode in June, that I mention Men's Mental Health Month, because I don't think you guys should be suffering in silence, or should be, have a shadow casted over you from everything else. Men exist in all those spaces, in the pride spaces, in the Indigenous spaces, in the Juneteenth spaces. Men exist in all those spaces. So we need to embrace all of the men we love, and remember to tell them that they are enough, and that what they do is value. They bring value and purpose to us. So other than that, have a wonderful rest of your week. And Jessica will be on the next podcast. She's one of the authors. And then I will have I've got quite a few really cool people coming. So as soon as Jessica goes, then there'll be one more author, which I believe is Kyle. And then we're going to get into some other really cool people and some more cool resources. Fuck, my brain stopped. Bandwidth is just toast. So, okay, guys, have an amazing week, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Don't do anything crazy.